Hi everyone, Mrs. Johnson, and I'm here for another week of teaching you some music. So I hope that you're doing well, and let's get right into it. So we're going to review some rhythms that we have learned. We learned in school, we've learned while we've been doing this virtual teaching. So this should be review for you. So rhythms are what makes music music. Okay, so we have a steady beat, we have a beat, okay, and it can be in 4 or it can be in 3, it could be in 2, so it could be 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, or it could be 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So we have different types of beats, and inside of those beats we have rhythms that make the beats sound good. Okay, so instead of it just being monotonous and continuing to just go over and over again the same exact thing, these are different ways to make it sound good. So our first one we're going to review is our half note. Our half note looks like this. It's 2 beats and it is called a half note. Our second one is a quarter note. A quarter note is worth 1 beat. It's called a quarter note. Our next one, this is an eighth note pair. Now you need to remember to write pair, because if you just write eighth note, it's only one of these, making it a half of a beat, not a whole beat. Okay, but you don't normally see that as much in the music that you're playing and singing. You normally see that in high school and up. And then we have a whole note, which is 4 beats. Okay, so if you need to pause the screen right now and write this down so that you have this, go for it. I'm not going to be going anywhere. All right, so pause the screen if you need to copy this down. All right, now we're going to move on to learning a bunch of new ones. So behind me, I'm going to take a picture of this and I'm going to put it so that you have this whole thing to reference. But this is the table that I'm working off of. So we've learned 4 of the 11 that we're going to do. So we have 7 more to learn today. So today we're going to learn about, this is a dotted half, nope, let's start with this one. Sorry. That'll make more sense. Okay. So this is a lot like the eighth note pair, except for there's 4 of them and there's another line. Let me make sure that this makes sense to you. So you can't just have, so with the eighth note, you just have 1 line. With the 16th notes, you have 2, all right? That makes it faster. So eighth note pair sounds like this, do day. And a 16th note sounds, 4 16th notes sound like this, do to data, okay? So, but that's still just 1 beat. So if I were to keep a beat, do day, do to data, do day, do to data. You see how each time I hit, I either did a 4 16th notes or an eighth note pair. Okay? Now, the next one we're going to learn is the dotted quarter note. Now, this is super hard, and if you don't get it right away, that's okay. Just keep playing with it. Think of music like math, okay? It always has to, when you're at the stage we're at right now, it always has to equal 4. Okay, so if this is 1.5 beats out of 4, that means we have 2.5 beats left, right? Yeah, I'm doing that math. Okay, so this dot right here gives it the half of a beat. We know that a quarter note is worth 1 beat. We learned that a long time ago. Okay, quarter note is worth 1 beat. The dot divides the total of the note in half. So if we have one whole thing, this is a scrap paper, if we have one whole thing and we divide it in half and get rid of half, we now have half of it, right? So we have 1.5. Okay. Now we're going to get a little more complicated. So this is called a dotted quarter note, all right? A dotted quarter note is worth 1.5 beats. Now, This is a dotted half note, and it's worth 3 beats. But wait a second, Mrs. Johnson, why isn't it worth 2.5 beats? You just told me that a dotted quarter note is worth 1.5 beats because the dot is half. What I said is that it's half of the value of the note. So if we have a note, a half note is worth 2 beats. We learned that a long time ago, right? Half note is worth 2 beats. Half of that value, if you have 2 beats, half of the value of 2 is 1. So what you would do is add 2 plus 1, and that gives you 3 beats, okay? So let's say we would never really normally see this. We had a whole note. We know a whole note is worth 4 beats, right? Okay, we know a whole note is worth 4 beats. If we were to put a dot next to our whole note, we have 4 beats, okay? I'm going to divide it into 2. We have 2 beats left. So we add those 2 beats onto the 4 and we get 6 beats, okay? And it would look like this. Okay. Do the best you can with understanding that. It's okay if you don't get it right away, all right? Now we're going to learn about rests. Rests are the silent beats. So we could do something like this. Do to day to do. See how I had quiet sounds, but the beat kept going? That's called a rest, okay? So we could do, do day, do. Do day, 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 do day, okay? So we can do different things where we have different rests and breaks in the music. So the first rest or break we're going to learn about today is called a quarter note rest. A quarter note rest is worth 1 beat. Think about a quarter note. A quarter note, we go back to these fundamentals for everything, guys. Quarter note is worth 1 beat. So you just add the word rest to the end because you're just not making a sound for 1 beat. Then we have, I'm sure you guys can figure this out because you're so smart, but we have a half note rest. A half note rest is worth 2 beats. A half note is worth 2 beats. This is just a half note, but quiet, silent, okay? Half note rest. Then we have a whole note rest. Okay, a whole note. We learned this, whole note is 4 beats. So this is a 4-beat rest, 4 beats of silence. And then the tricky one that you will never see until you are in high school is the 8th note rest, which is half of a beat, okay? Okay, so those are the different rhythms that you're going to hear. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you up on here what it looks like. Then I'm going to take a picture and I'll post it all to the boards so that you can have it. What you're going to do this week is I want you to come up with 4-beat rhythms, okay? I want you to come up with 10 of them. I want you to take a picture of it and send it back to me, okay? Each line or each one that you do has to have 4 beats in it. Not 4 notes, 4 beats. So if you do a quarter note, how many quarter notes, if you want to do all quarter notes, how many quarter notes do you need to do for one of your rhythms? 4. If you want to do all half notes, you do 2 because it's 2 beats, all right? And I will give you an example after we go over this. All right, so we have 1-beat rhythms, a quarter note, 8th note pair, quarter note rest, and 4 16th notes. It sounds like this. Do, day, do to data. Okay. Now over here we have 2-beat notes. The first one we have is a half note. I know that's hard to see. Like I said, I will take a picture for you. We have a half note. We have a half note rest. It would sound like this. Do. Okay. Then we have 4-beat notes. The first one is a whole note. The second one is a whole note rest. That's right. So it sounds like this. Do. Good. And then these random ones that have like just there's not more than one of these that you have learned. We have the the dotted quarter note. Looks like this. It's a quarter note with a dot next to it. It's worth 1.5 beats. Sounds like this. Do. Okay, it's not as long as a half note, but it's not as short as a quarter note. And then we have, move my flowers out of the way here. We have a dotted half note, which is worth 3 beats. Sounds like this. Do. Okay. And then an eighth note rest, which is half of a beat. It sounds like I can't really do it. It's just half of a rest. Okay. So, what you will do, and I'm going to have to end soon because YouTube is super finicky with how long my videos are, is if I wanted to create 10 4-beat rhythms, okay, I'm going to only do 3 because I know how to do this. You guys need to practice. All right. We know that an eighth note pair is worth 1 beat. So that's 1 plus a quarter note, which is 1. It's 2 beats. Plus a half note is 2 beats. So that's 4. Okay, so there's 4 beats right there. Let me show you. 1, 1, 2 plus 4. 1, 1, 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 2 plus 1. All right. We have a quarter note rest, that's 1 beat. A quarter note, that's 1 beat. Eighth note pair, that's 1 beat. 4 16th notes, that's 1 beat. That equals 4. 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 4. Here we have number 3. 4 16th notes, that's 1. A half note rest, that's 2. And a quarter note, 1. So 1 plus 2 plus 1 is 4. All right. If I were to do this, and you can't do this for all 10 of them, this is a whole note. A whole note is worth 4 beats, so you only do 1 of these. This is a whole note rest. It's worth 4 beats, so you only do this one. You only put this once because it's worth 4 beats. So each number should have 4 beats, not 4 notes. Look, I have 1 note here, 1 note there, 3 notes there, 4 here, 3 there. You could do 2. You can. So there's lots of different variations you can do. All right. That's all I got for you today. Please make sure you do your 10 rhythms. Take a picture, send it to me so that I can have a way that I have contacted you. If you have questions, please reach out to me. When you are finished watching this video, please go back and comment okay so that I know that you've seen it. All right, bye friends. Have a good week.